So hello fellow YouTubers. What we're going to do today is I'm going to do a video I've been wanting to do for a while. This is a video on the properly changed reverse osmosis filters. It's time to change mine, so I just decided to do that. And I've been doing water for about 25 years. So I saw a couple of videos on YouTube. I felt they were incomplete. So I want to try to give you a most complete teaching, learning, help on changing these filters. So let's get to it, and then it's going to be in parts. So let me stop here, and then we'll rotate around. So we got here, there's different stages of RO. This happens to be a 3-stage RO. They make 4 stages, and they also make twist out types, and they make slim designs. There's all different types. The care for the ROs is just about the same on all of them, okay? So we got the 2 bottom filters, your pre and post, and on the top here you've got a membrane, and then you got a post cartridge for taste and odor, and of course you have a tank. Some people think they have an RO. If you don't have a tank, you don't have an RO. That's number one. We get a lot of that one. ROs are made with tank because of the pressure equalization between what the RO is putting out and what the tank has. That's how ROs work. That's what makes it reverse osmosis. Some companies have tried to invent ROs with no tank, but they don't work so well. So, and I even know there's a few out there right now. But tanks are necessary when it comes to ROs. I've talked to professionals that have designed ROs, and years ago they came out with one from a big company, and it didn't last long. They took it right off the market within a year or two. It just didn't go well. So once a year, the pre and post filters, the bottom 2, have to be changed, and recommended the top one, which is here, the top filter, needs to be changed. The membrane, which is the middle, if you're on city water and you have a water softener or a water conditioning system, the membrane will last around 5 years, depending on, if you take care of everything. And the tanks are recommended that you change them every 5 years. I didn't hear one video that I watched ever mention that. It's very crucial that those components get changed in a timely fashion, just for sanitization, because algae can build up on the membranes and even in the tank. So when you do these filter changes, it's recommended, of course, you're going to have a wrench, a sump wrench, which is here. This is your sump wrench. And then you're going to either have at least a towel handy or some type of absorbing material, because you're going to spill a little bit of water. So let's get to the change. Oh, and before I get to the change, let me say this on this part. You're going to cut your feed line water off, which is up here, and then you got to cut your tank off. But before we do that, we want to drain the tank as much as possible. How do we drain the tank? Well, first, shut your feed line of water off, and then we're going to drain the tank. So I've already cut the water off to the feed line. So I'm going to come up here to the faucet, and I'm going to drain the tank as much as possible. You want a complete draining of that tank, okay? And we're going to talk about what happens if you don't get a complete draining. Very important that happens. Well, I'm starting to drain the tank. I've already taken some water out of there, and I can tell by the stream of the water, doing this long enough, that we're only going to get about probably half of that water out of that tank. Now, tanks have air pressure, just like a tire, but they don't have more than about 10 or 15 pounds. So I can already tell you by the flow of that water, and I'm going to save some of this water, you might want it too, for possibly drinking or cooking until it takes time to refill, about 6 hours before you can use the water again out of the RO. So those tanks have air, and we're going to talk about that because that tank down there, it's going to need air. I can tell you right now. And we got to get a complete draining of that. So I'll cut back in a second. So again, I'm under my under my sink, reverse osmosis. I decided to remove my calcite filter. Now, what is a calcite filter? This is a calcite filter. Of course, there's different kinds of calcite filters. This is a standard 10-inch. It's got 1/4-inch NPT fittings, and I took the fittings off. I'm actually going to remove it. But a calcite filter is a filter that raises the pH of the water to make it better from the body. If you suffer from gout or some type of acidic in the bloodstream, they're good for you. Like lemons. Lemons raises the pH of the body. So I'm going to take mine out actually. I'm not going to replace it. The water around here is neutral at 7. But I drink lemon water, so I'm good. So, but anyway, so those that wonder what calcite is, this is it. The water actually drained out of the tank, but I'm going to repressurize it. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes after I pull the filters out, which I'm going to do now. And I'll show you how to repressurize the tank. Now that tank's only about 3 years old. So in a couple of years, I'm just going to throw it out and put a new one in. But if you're wondering why you take tanks out every 5 years, it's just recommended by the manufacturer. Because they get slime in them and they lose pressure and so forth. But we'll talk about that, so I'll get back to you in a minute. Also, there's several different fittings. These are what we call Jayco fittings. These are Jayco, okay, or screw-in type fittings. So these screw-in fittings, obviously you screw them in, screw them off. I use a wrench, like a vice grip type of wrench, and I tighten them on, man. You want to tighten them on, of course, you don't want them backing out on you. And then there's the John Guest type. Now, what's a John Guest? So these are John Guest. John Guest are push to connects. You'll see those a lot where you actually have to push this tab in to release the line. So I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to remove those filters here in a second and be right back with you. So back here, we're going to release all the Jayco fittings here, and we're going to discard this filter. Now this filter, as I'll say in the reinstallation, is directional. So you'll see on there that the flow, now that'll go toward the faucet when I install the new one. And we're going to unscrew these fittings from the end, and we're going to have to, we'll put those in the new one. I'll show you how to do that. So now we're going to unscrew the sumps. And now these filters have been here right about exactly a year. So I use this RO every day, constantly. So again, if you're using your RO, okay, like you should, and you're doing that, these filters are going to get dirty. Now I have a big water system outside. If I didn't, these filters would be changed every 6 months. The membrane, which is this middle one, would only last about 2 to 3 years. It's good here for about 5 years. Again, just like the tank, 5 years with the water softener. The tank is good for 5 years no matter what, as long as you're changing the filters as you should. If you're not, you're going to change them more often. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change these. I'm going to set the phone/camera aside. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to do that now. Okay, so now we're going to change the sumps. I had to go get my little tripod here. So now we're going to change the sumps on the RO, or change the filters in the sumps on the RO. Pull the sumps off. So you need your sump wrench. And I want to correct myself. This is a 4-stage, actually kind of a 5. I had the post filter under the calcite, but these are the stages: sediment, carbon, membrane, and of course the post filter. That's 4-stage. And then that's to me the minimum. And then you get the 5-stage, which would be another filter here, another carbon filter. So let's go ahead and take these out. I'm going to show you how dirty they get. And this has only been a year for my house. And I'm on city water in my city. City water is very bad here. We sell a lot of water treatment here. Me and the rest of the gang. And I already knew that these were pretty dirty. So it's been a year. Now these go in white. So I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to show you what happens. So this is 1 year, okay? I'm going to pull this out. And you're going to see after a water system, I have a water treatment system on here, on the outside. So you can see a big difference in these two filters, okay? So we're going to discard this, and then, which I'll do in a second. I'm not worried about the water on the floor. I got the absorber. But I'm going to show you what happens inside these sumps. That has to be cleaned with soapy water, okay? And it's not necessary to lubricate those O-rings. I see a lot of videos where they do that. But I want you to look real close inside there, okay? I don't know if you can see all that, but man, there's a lot of garbage in there, sediment. That's why it's called a sediment filter, people. Now, this is after I have a water system out there, a dual one, a big one that's out there, okay? So you can see how much dirt. And any city water is not, I don't care where it comes from, it's not going to be clean anywhere. The city just doesn't do enough cleaning of the water for a human. I mean, city water, or even well water if you have a well, it's great for irrigation, maybe utility water, possibly washing your clothes and stuff. But for human consumption, there's just not enough cleaning. The city doesn't clean it up enough. I don't think any city water does. My dad lives in the Northeast. It's the same way, man. But you can see 1 year, right on the money. And this here, this is the slime. You can see all my whole housings need to be cleaned off. So let's discard these. I'll take the carbon out one. Let's see what that kind of looks like. Let me go get my trash. We're going to discard this stuff. And I'll pull out the other one, then we'll cut the video. But let's see. So this here is garbage. And then, let's see. This other filter, we're going to pull the fittings off the, just going to unscrew this post filter. And we're going to put those back in. We have to wrap those, throw this out. Okay, pull those off. That's out. And then, whatever the calcite filter, I'm going to throw that out. This was the calcite filter. That's gone away. All these filters go in the trash. All right, let's take the carbon out real quick. We'll dump this one. Take this one off. I'm not going to change the membrane today. There's other videos for that. But it's only been there a few years. So I'm going to do that maybe next year or the year after. I'll change the membrane. So we're going to clean everything good. I use this thing again constantly. Again, you can see this one's not as bad. The water's so slimy on the inside. You can see a little bit of sediment pass through into the carbon. This is a carbon sediment. We'll dump this. Throw the filter out. Discard it. All right, we'll cut the video here. Yeah, so now we're just going to put some air in this thing a little bit. Might be a little bit of water in there, but not much. This tank's been pretty good. They usually get weak. All tanks get weak over time, so we're just going to put a little bit of air in here, that's all. Nothing came out. A couple of squirts of air. That's all you need. That's it. Just a little bit of air pressure in there. I think they're only good 10-15 pounds. There's not much in there. Maximum working pressure is 100, but I don't think they come with no 100 pounds, man. 10 or 15, that'll be about it. So that's going to be it for that. So now, this is the startup. So everything's connected, and startup is pretty easy. Open your tank, which mine's open. It's going to be in line with the line, and then we're going to open up the valve here. And then I'm going to start the water to flow. And I had to join these line here with a John Guest fitting because obviously I took the calcite filter out. So now it's going to fill back up. And it takes 2 to 3 hours to fill that tank. And then what we're going to do is, after 2 to 3 hours, you're going to drain the tank at least one time, 2 if you like, and then let it fill up again. And then you can drink from it. If you want to do it twice, you can. I only do it once. The reason why you do it with the drain in the tank is because the carbon filter has fines to it, you know, like dust. So it gets in the tank, and obviously you don't want to drink that. It wouldn't hurt you, but you don't want to drink it. So once you get the carbon out, and you can hear the air exiting the line. We're going to purge this too, man. I forgot about that. We're going to purge the system here in a minute. Let it start producing water. Let me see if I can get a flashlight. See if I can show you guys that. Yeah, so once it starts producing water, you'll be able to see the line bubbles going to the tank. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, you can see that. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me bring the camera in here. But you can see the line bubbles here. The lighting. You look close, zoom in on that. You can see the line bubbles. And we want to purge the air out of the system here. In a minute, we want it to produce a little bit of water, and then we'll purge the system out. No leaks. You want to check for leaks. Tank's open, it's producing water. Your faucet's shut, and then we're going to purge it. And then once we purge some of the air out, we'll let it fill 2 or 3 hours, and then we're going to empty it. Let it run 5 or 10 minutes out of the top of the faucet. You can shake the tank, see if it's empty, and then shut the faucet and give it another 2 or 3 hours to fill up, and then you can drink from it. Some people do it twice. I just do it once. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I ain't seen no problem with doing it once. Sometimes you'll get air bubbles in your glass, and there's nothing to be alarmed about. It's just air still in the system. It'll purge it all out eventually. So I would say happy changing of the filters. Any questions? I try to open up the comments, or you can ask questions in the comments section there. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is the purge part. I don't want to leave that out. You want to do that a couple times just to purge the air out of the line. Yeah, you start seeing the black water. Anyway, when you see that, you're purged. Thank you.